Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne. I'm Beth. I'm back again for your mid-December 2014 tarot horoscope. This is for everyone with their sun, moon, or ascendant in the lovely Taurus. And as you can tell, I am wearing my Christmas antlers. I'm in the Christmas spirit. I didn't think that I was going to be doing these videos, honestly. I have been so inundated with so many other things, and my move did not go as planned at all. I basically drove here. It took me 7 days to get here. I live in Ellensburg, Washington now. And then I stayed at a hotel for 10 days, and then I moved into a new apartment in the water. The ceiling was leaking, and they were going to have to do all this crazy stuff on it, so I decided not to take the apartment, and therefore I moved back to the hotel. So it's been quite a journey for me. I've been basically traveling, since the end of November. So since Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving. So I didn't think I'd be in the Christmas spirit, but this is the best that I can do for Christmas, and I hope that you guys have a lovely Christmas, whatever you're celebrating. I'm excited for the new year. That's what I'm excited about, and I might do New Year's videos. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to be doing my January video probably right around the 1st. As soon as I kind of get settled into a new place, I will be doing a lot more videos. But my availability is a lot more now because I don't have my full-time job. So I'm doing this full-time, which is awesome for me. So if you'd like a reading, you haven't had one before, and you want a private reading, feel free to email me at elizabetholson31@gmail.com. And I can give you some times and dates that might work, that will work for me, and then we can see if it'll work for you and kind of coordinate. And then I guess what I was telling everybody else is that I am drinking this acai juice berry blend, and I am working with this amazing boytroidal stone, which I got. This stone and I can communicate, and so never thought that I'd be at this point where I could communicate with the rock, but I can, and it doesn't like me calling it a rock. It likes me calling it a gem. It's got a personality, that's all I can say. And then what was I going to say? I've completed my deck, so I'm doing reversals now. So you'll see as I go in, there's a lot of new messages and a lot of new things that I'm doing. I'm really excited to do these videos because I have a lot of information to pass on, and I'm just really enjoying them. So I am also doing a special $250 2-hour reading for clients who want to get the full 2015 picture. Okay, that means we're going to go through January, February, March. Each month we do spread. Okay, and so it's quite intensive, and it is quite detailed, and so that's why it's a little bit more expensive. But I think those of you who have worked with me before might like this, and those of you who have never worked with me might want to do, just to get an overview of like what's in the cards for the year ahead. That's why you guys are watching these videos anyways. You're really into this stuff, which is good. Anyways, so without further ado, let's get to the cards and see what we've got. Those of you who don't know my rates, I should tell you my rates. For an hour is $75. For 2 hours, it is $150. Oops. And I accept PayPal. That's the only payment method that I accept. But it's really easy to set up a PayPal account if you don't have one. It's good to use it for other things too. So it's a very secure way of payment. If you've never used it before, it's very, very secure. Okay. So, you know, this has been coming up a lot, and I'm not sure why this is coming up, but this is the last card. This was the last card of the last spread. Your spread is very different from the other ones that I've had, with the exception of this card, which is the Strength card. And I think people are going through a lot of tests right now. And again, this is for everyone with their sun, moon, or ascendant in Taurus, okay? It says, there is no opposite of strength because strength just is. Everyone has strength, just not at all the times they need it. Your strength is like iron, a very tough person who will always win, a 9, okay? You know, Tauruses, I like to think, are you know, obviously they're bullheaded, okay? So they're stubborn, okay? Doesn't mean that they have a lot of inner strength. It just means that they're stubborn, okay? And I tend to think that they're a little bit square. And every time they say yes to something, maybe that somebody suggests, or, you know, their partner says, "Do you want to do this?" rather than saying, "No, I don't want to," say, "Yes, I'd love to," and come from a place of yes, you know, that's important. But this is, you know, I think people are getting put to the test because it's testing times. We're going through a time period in the universe where, you know, we're all kind of getting tested to see how strong we are. We're going through hard times to see how much we can handle, you know. And it's at those times that we recognize how strong we are, you know. I never thought that I would actually be here, let alone doing these videos. I didn't think so. Honestly, I mean, I'm a very strong-willed person. I am a very strong individual as well, but I didn't think that I would be able to get through all that I have, and it makes me think that I can really just do anything, you know, because I've been through it. I've been through it all, you know. So this is the path that you're on. What's crossing you is, interestingly, it's the opposite of moving. It says plans go awry, or they don't get off the ground, or they don't go as planned. Not wanting to move, but needing to anyway. It's also biting off more than you could chew, okay? So the funny thing is, this is very typical Taurus. Typical Taurus doesn't want to move, just wants to dig its heels in. Same old, same old. Why can't everything just stay the same? Because Taurus is very established. It really likes to establish its roots. It really likes its family life. It likes its family time. It likes doing things the same tried and true method, you know? Sort of like, if it ain't broke, you know, why fix it, right? So they just have that kind of attitude. I've been, and I'm just going to share with you, this is something that I've been rolling around in my head for quite some time. And it has to do with opposites and our shadow self, okay? What our shadow self is. And in my mind, the Taurus shadow self is the Scorpio, because they're polar opposites. And the Scorpio is someone that goes with the flow, which is not what Taurus does. Scorpio goes with the flow to such an extent that they don't put up any boundaries, you know. They're willing to try anything, you know, drugs, you name it. They don't care. Whatever somebody wants them to do, they'll say, sure, yes, why not? You know, they'll try it once. It's not going to kill them. They'll do it. Taurus, you can't get a Taurus to do anything, okay, let alone try something different, okay? But inside every Taurus, there's a Scorpio. It's like inside everyone, there's our polar opposite shadow self, okay? And the shadow self is, it's sort of like the definition of, in every fat person, there's a skinny person, and in every skinny person, there's a fat person that lives there. You know, it's like everybody secretly wants to eat cookies and cakes all day and be a stick, but that's not the reality, you know. Or you know, I just think that the shadow self comes out. The reason why, okay, let me just put back. The reason why Taurus is the way they are is because their shadow self is the opposite, okay? Is because deep down inside them lives a Scorpio that that has, or maybe it even has to do with past lives, where it's sort of like they've been giving the challenge of the Taurus because maybe they were a Scorpio in another life. They've already learned how to be a Scorpio. So, but deep down inside them, there's a Scorpio, you know, that wants to say yes to everything, but says no because that's their challenge. They need to start saying no, okay? The Scorpio needs to start saying no, whereas Taurus needs to start saying yes. So I think that that's what attracts us. That's what attracts us to the opposite. Somebody who's like an Aquarius is attracted to a Leo, right? Or an Aries is attracted to a Libra, because there's similarities there, because inside the Aries there lives a Libra person, and inside the Libra person there lives the Aries. It's that sort of past life thing. It's an understanding of each other in a kind of deeper way that they connect to. It's an understanding, and I'm getting a tingle on this, which is interesting. So I feel like this is something that I'm going to be talking a little bit more about. But I feel like the thing with Taurus is that they need to start saying yes more. The problem is that they have deep inside them a Scorpio person that that has said yes too much. So that's why Taurus doesn't want to say yes too much. They resist it because they've learned that by saying yes too much, they go off the track and they get lost and they start doing crap that doesn't make any sense, and they either hurt a lot of people or get hurt themselves. So Taurus inherently kind of has learned to know better, and should be respected for that, you know, for who they are today. So, but nonetheless, you need to move, Taurus. You need to move. You need to change. You need to embrace it, okay? Embrace the move. In the recent past, that you needed... okay, I see, okay. This is the opposite, actually, of the Hanged Man. This is the Hanged Man in reverse, okay? So this is the Hanged Man upright, and this is the Hanged Man in the reverse. And the Hanged Man in reverse says to hang on, but barely, okay? Alzheimer's, going in and out of consciousness, to spend a lot of time in bed and needing to see or sleeping, or needing to see a doctor. This is someone who's on, maybe in the recent past, you went to the doctor. You needed to go. You weren't well for some reason. Some of you, okay, not all of you, have Alzheimer's. I'm not saying that. There may be some of you that are having to deal with Alzheimer's or some kind of dementia or something, maybe with a family member. It might not necessarily be you. It's just something that happened in the recent past. You may be dealing with that may be your sort of profession, where you deal with people in like nursing homes. You may actually work like in a nursing home or something like that. You may be like some kind of caregiver. This is wanting and maybe spending a lot of time in bed, not being able to really get out of bed, wanting to sleep a lot. You know, I feel like at one point the Hanged Man was doing okay. Okay, the Hanged Man was hanging in there. Okay, but as their physical health started to drain, their inner strength was still hanging on, but their physical stuff started to deteriorate. And now it's gotten to a point where so much time has passed. Taurus, at some point, you needed to make a change, okay? That's what needed to happen. You needed to go into your inner self and hang on with your inner strength to get through the tough times. But you needed to make a change, and you didn't. You basically clung on to the past, and you These that's okay. So it's sort of just like almost like it's weird because it's like a practical thing. The critter is telling me that you clung on to the same things way past the point in which you should have, and your physical health started to deteriorate, but that it I mean, that ultimately it's not good for you. That's what it's saying. It's saying it's ultimately not good for you. You should have. Okay, so what I was saying was the inner choice. Let's go back to the inner choice. You're physically deteriorating. You should have chosen. You should have said, okay, I think this is the right thing to do, to make a decision, to make a change, but you refuse to do it, and so it's sort of eating you up. That's what Critter was saying. It's eating you up from the inside out. Your strength, it's not about strength anymore. It's just about something going bad, you know? It's sort of like something like if you leave an apple out for too long, eventually it'll die. Eventually it'll shrivel up and die. You know, it'll take some time, but it'll die. And that's what's happened. It's sort of like this is tough. I feel like there's elements of death around you. There's someone in your midst, maybe it's a very old, I feel like there's a very old person around you. If it's not you, it's somebody else that's very, very much deteriorated. They are like the shriveled old apple, you know, they're shriveling and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and like it's like every day they shrink more and more and more, and they're just hanging in there. You know, basically they're hanging in there by like a thread, you know, barely hanging on. I feel like that's happening. I feel like you yourself, though, this is taking a toll on you yourself, because for some reason this has affected you. I still feel like you need to see a doctor, you know, about your sleeping. You need to sleep more. You need to have more rest. I feel like when you go to bed, it's not real rest. It's just sort of like routine. You're not eating right as well. The critter says it's sort of like you're oblivious to what needs to happen. You know, you're kind of like oblivious to like how to take care of yourself at some level, or maybe the person you're dealing with is oblivious to they don't know how to take care of themselves anymore. Maybe you're dealing with somebody I feel like you're dealing with somebody who's really old. Maybe like a mother-in-law, you know, father-in-law, something like that. It's funny because you have the foundation is, you know, it's interesting because you got this in the upright, it's the tortoises, you know, and this is emotional contentment in the upright. In the reverse, it's also really positive. It's so much love from both your grandparents. That's basically the foundation. If you don't, you know, if your grandparents are not alive, you know, they're around you in spirit, and they're really, really, really positive influence for you. Okay, so what's crowning you right now is dropping the ball, not being able to multitask, risky business ventures, bad business deals, overloaded by responsibility, and not having enough work-life balance, which is quite common for Tauruses, because Tauruses tend to, they love to work hard and play hard. Okay, they do. But the thing is, they sometimes go down the workaholic track because it's easy and because they have a lot to do. And so they don't stop enough to smell the roses. They just keep working. And this is the juggler in reverse. So you can see that these balls, he's literally just dropped. It's sort of like dropping what you're doing and saying, fuck it, you know? It's sort of like you kind of want to do that. My feeling is you kind of just want to drop the ball and just say, fuck it. Fuck the responsibilities. Fuck this job. You're sick of it. You don't want to do it anymore. And what's right around the corner is needing to rest. Again, there's a lot of elements of physical well-being relating to not getting enough sleep, physical deterioration, not getting enough rest, the work-life balance. I feel like you're working too much, you're not sleeping enough, you're staying up way too late, maybe you've got things you got to do when you get home, or things you want to do when you get home, and you're trying to do it all, and you're not getting enough rest. You're not saying, okay, enough with the world, I'm going to just watch TV for half an hour, or read a book for half an hour and go to bed. No, you're like trying to do all these other things when you get home from work. And it's just sort of like you're doing what I call working on your life. Your life has become a job, okay? And that's, at some point, you need to take time off. This is needing peace of mind. This is needing rest to recover, to sleep, okay? Look at her. She's lying down, okay? She's lying down. She's in bed, She's gone into that beautiful, peaceful, restful sleep. Interestingly, you have this temperance in reverse, okay, which is it is very, very challenging, because temperance is when there are several elements to my temperance card, but my temperance card can be 50-50 emotions, but there's balance, okay? It's sort of like sometimes there's hot and cold, but it generally is in balance. You've got a grip on these wild emotions. Your grip is more like, okay, you know what to do when you become angry. You know what to do when you become sad. You don't drunk dial. You don't fly off the handle at just anybody, at T-Mobile or Comcast. You know how to control it. So that's temperance in the upright. Temperance in the reverse, for me, okay, it says injustice, a messy divorce, a terrible legal battle, to be really upset, hot and cold, to need time to recover after a fight, to calm down, basically. So there is something going on that has gotten you to this point. Maybe, it's getting to this point where you're just like, fuck it all. I just want to drop the ball. I don't want to do this job anymore. Something maybe at work like triggered you. I feel like to get you this upset, to get you to become the raging bull, I feel like, again, you've got the raging bull because you've got the emperor coming in, and the emperor is the Taurus, okay? I feel like a lot of times this is the Taurus. This is the bull, okay? This is a male. You may have Taurus. You may be married to a Taurus. Okay, so Taurus females. This could be you reading this. You watching this video, and your husband's a Taurus. This could be him. And he's basically just, he won't let it happen. Whatever it is that you want to do, he's totally against it, and he's just blocking your way. It's up to him, But it's also, fate decides, it says fate decides will not happen, or not in the timing expected, or in the way you expect. The thing about Taurus is it likes to plan, it likes to plot, it likes things to be sort of scheduled out, so it knows and can be prepared for what's next, which is the complete opposite of Scorpio. Let's remember, okay? Scorpio doesn't care or give a shit about what comes next. It's just going with the flow, doing whatever, what was I saying? Oh. Because Taurus likes to plan, it's going to be difficult for you to hear this, but I feel like the universe is like telling me, you need to understand that when there's an element of fate, things don't happen the way you expect them to happen. They happen in their own kind of way, okay? So, for instance, you may be thinking, okay, you're going to go fishing on Saturday. This is just an example, okay? I don't know why I'm getting this. Somebody may be, one of you Taurus, might like to fish, okay? So, you're going to go fishing on Saturday for whatever reason. And you're thinking, okay, if you catch a big one, you could be able to eat it for dinner, and you're going to cook this beautiful, gorgeous dinner. Anyways, you get to the pond or the lake or wherever you're going, the river, and you don't catch anything, okay? But you decide you want to stop for dinner somewhere along the way. And along the way, you meet this gorgeous woman who's going in and picking up some dinner for takeout or whatever, and she's all alone, and you hit it off with her, and suddenly you're supposed to be together, you know? I mean, it sort of just feels like natural, you know? And had you gone fishing and caught that fish, you would have gone directly home, and you cooked up that trout or whatever it is, roasted it, and it would have been beautiful, but you wouldn't have met the girl. You wouldn't have met the girl of your dreams. You wouldn't have met your future wife, okay? That's fate. Things don't happen in the way you expect them to happen. They don't happen in the way you plan them to happen. It's unfortunate, and it's difficult, but it's better for you. You're going to be better for it, okay? So I feel like the problem is that something... There's a couple of different messages coming through. Some of you, there's something in what the Emperor brings. I feel like it's a Taurus, or it could even be a Capricorn male. It could be a Capricorn or a Taurus female. This could be a female too. Something that they do or say just ignites you, and you just become like this raging bull, and you go crazy. And you get really upset because they're in your way. They're blocking you. For some reason, they're blocking you. And they're blocking you from a very positive outcome, okay? A very positive future. They're getting in your way. And it's pissing you off, okay? It's really pissing you off. Or it could just be that the universe is in support of what you're doing, okay? Because this is you, Taurus, you know, and it's sending you that strong, you know, my way or the highway type of energy so that you can achieve greatness and you can achieve your dreams. I kind of feel like that's what it is, mostly, okay? Either way, good or bad, this is challenging, these two together. Because this is very, very strong, and this is very, very volatile. You know, this spells volcano right here, okay? The earth shaking, and then look at this, you know, look at the earth and the fire coming out of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it doesn't feel really good to me. It feels like a big fight, a big blowout. If that's not what's happening, you know, then it could be a divorce, you know. It could be just a divorce. Not that anything is just a divorce, because divorce sucks. For some of you, you know, separation, almost for sure. Because you're just at two different ends of the spectrum. You're someplace, emotionally, you're someplace else. You are someplace else from this other person. Okay, and then your attitude. If you can get past, see, the thing is, in my deck, this card is very difficult to overcome. Because it's the Taurus energy, though, I don't necessarily feel like it's blocking you. Not in this instance. Not in every single case. Although, generally speaking, it is a roadblock. This person is a roadblock. This energy is a roadblock. For everybody else. Maybe not for you, but for everybody else, it generally is. So for some of you, you're going to have a difficult time either getting out of this relationship, overcoming some upset, big emotional stuff going on, okay? Wanting to get a divorce. I just feel like this is a challenge. This is a challenge, okay? If you can get past that, if you can get past this and overcome this, you're going to end up, it says, transcending the material world for a more spiritual life. Positive outcome. Even if you aren't rich, you are enriched with gifts and love, and you are abundant also, okay? This is the world in reverse. And the world in reverse is, they're both yeses. This is a double yes card, okay? Upright, she's got everything she could possibly want. The world is her oyster. In that oyster holds everything. Money, fortune, you know, happiness, love, prosperity. I mean, it's all there. It's all there. And reverse, it's sort of like she gets over the material stuff. She needs to become more spiritual. She needs to let go of the material stuff. And maybe the divorce helps her to let go of that, because the divorce gives her maybe financial freedom, and that financial freedom is what she needs to move on with her life, to actually to do something that she really wants to do. Maybe she can't do it because she doesn't have the financial freedom to do it before that. Maybe she doesn't think she does. It's this spiritual freedom. It's letting go of having to have, you know, a beautiful house and beautiful cars and beautiful furniture and beautiful jewelry and beautiful clothes. It's letting go of all that stuff, you know. I was talking about in my other videos how I am wearing, you know, this really old t-shirt that I love because it's very light, it's very feathery, it's like 100 years old. I mean, not really, but it looks like it is. And a very old sports bra. It doesn't do much, but I don't care because I love it, you know. And it makes me feel comfortable and at home when I'm, you know, not at home. You know, I'm not with family. I'm not with my friends. I'm just kind of on my own. So it's that comfort, you know, it's that comfort thing. But, and Tauruses need a comfort thing, you know. I just feel like you need to get to a point where you don't have to have that stuff and you're satisfied with your old sweatshirt or your old t-shirt, and you don't really have to have any of that stuff because you traded it in for a spiritual life. And I am not saying you aren't going to have money, okay, because Tauruses always generally end up on top for money, okay, they just do. Taurus is like the natural saver of the zodiac. You know, they can stockpile. Speaking of stocks, they're very good investors, generally speaking. Not all the time. Maybe sometimes they get a little greedy and they go overboard and then they lose. Okay, but generally Taurus wins when it comes to money. So this is not the difference. Okay, when I read this card, and when I've read this card for people, the difference between I guess the material life and the spiritual life is that in the material life you live, you know, we could say okay, we as people, if we're stuck in materialism and having it all, live in a place in our heads where nothing else will do. It's all about that. It's all about the achievement of that. It's all about having me, money, work, and save. The difference between that and the spiritual life is that in the spiritual life, you can still have abundance and money and wealth, but you don't have to have it. You've transcended it. You've gone above it. You don't have to have it. It doesn't need it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get tingle on this. It doesn't matter. You've gone past it. You've gone to this place where you don't need it in your head. You're like, I don't really care if I'm wearing an old sweatshirt or if I'm wearing an old t-shirt. I just am at a good, positive, spiritual place, and I don't have to have that stuff, you know? That's the place, that's what the universe wants. That's your attitude, and I feel like that's what you want. And, you know, for earth signs, I feel like a lot of times it is the challenge, especially Capricorns, you know? But Tauruses as well, because once they let go of the material wealth, which is such a huge part of their lives, okay? Because they're earth signs, they're earthy, they're tactile. They need like the material stuff to feel comfortable and feel secure and be like emotionally happy. But if they can transcend it and be happy without it, they're still going to have the abundance and they're still going to have the wealth. They just don't necessarily need it. They don't need it, you know, in order to be happy. Whereas a materialistic person, like, needs it, like, has to have it no matter what, and can't imagine a life without it. All they can dream of is their mansion with their sports cars and their pool with the infinity pool. You know, that's all they can see. And the person that's transcended it and that's living the spiritual life doesn't have to have that stuff. It would be nice, but they don't have to have it. They're happy without it. They can be happy without it. So that's the message there. And then the outcome is I feel like, okay, the thing is when I put this card out there, I thought this was in the upright position. But now I'm starting to question whether it actually was, because I've been getting so into my this reading that I think I might have spun it around. But I'm going to do both, okay? I'm going to do both in the upright and the reverse. Some of you, it's going to feel like more it's in the upright, and some of you, it's going to feel like more like it was in reverse. It's both of them, okay? The upright is a yes, but it's waiting. The reverse is a no, but it's also waiting, okay? And I'm going to read you both, okay? So the upright position is someone who's sitting there on their trusty steed, looking out in the distance, waiting for something to happen here, okay? Maybe they're waiting for the battle to be over, you know? Maybe they're waiting for, you know, their princess bride to come riding up on her steed and for them to ride off in the sunset, you know. Who knows what he's waiting for? Maybe, generally, this is waiting for someone to call them, okay? Which is why I wrote in reverse, to wait for a guy to come back disempowers you. It's time to move on. You must. So, those of you who have been waiting, okay, in the upright position for the guy to come back, and you think that he will, there may be some of you who he is not. The message is whether or not he comes back, it doesn't matter, okay? It matters that the waiting for him to come back disempowers you. That's the problem. The problem is that some of you Tauruses are waiting for him to come back, and you must move on. Some of you aren't even waiting on a guy. Okay, it's just you're waiting in general. But some of you have gone past the point where you should have stopped waiting. You should have stopped waiting for things to have happened, and you started to become empowered and do something with your life and move on. Okay, so my feeling is that you're in a relationship with somebody which should have ended a long time ago, but it didn't, because for whatever reason, maybe you were in love or maybe you just got comfortable. Chances are it's probably a combination of both. Taurus, you know, you should have moved on before. You should have maybe gotten a divorce before, but you didn't, you know? For whatever reasons, maybe there were kids involved. I feel like for some of you there were kids involved and you didn't really want to do that. So you kind of took the hit and you said, okay, I'm going to stay in this even though it's not totally right for me. And that's what happened. And so now it's about you must move on. You must. There's no other way to put it. There's no nice way to put it. It's you need to move on. You must move on. And if you don't, Taurus, the problem is that if you don't move on, you're missing out. And if you don't move on, the universe will force you to move on. And that's never good when the universe forces you to do anything, because as you know, you don't like to be forced. I wouldn't do that. This card is what would happen if the universe is forced, which is pain and suffering, okay? If the universe forces you to move on, it's going to hurt you. You're going to feel hurt. You're going to feel like a sense of a loss, you know? If you refuse to move on, then they may move on, and when they move on, it's going to be painful. That's my feeling, okay? So that's the Tauruses like to push things. They like to push the envelope. Why? Because they can. Because they don't mind waiting. They'll sit there for as long as possible because they're just chewing their cud, you know, waiting for something to happen, and whereas they don't have to lift a finger. You know, it's the cow that's chewing its cud where it doesn't have to do anything. You know, it has its food, it's got its cud, it's got its family, and that's all it needs, you know? But ultimately, the change needs to happen. That's what I'm saying. And now you're going, oh, what about the guy? Is he going to come back? Is he going to come back? You should watch my Libra video from last, I think it was my December Libra video, where I talked all about the guy coming back, or not coming back. You're like, no, wait, don't go. Is he going to come back? Is he going to come back? Oh, you're right. I pulled a card for you. Against my better judgment, I pulled a card. I reshuffled, and I put the card back in, and it came back again. I say no. I don't feel like he's going to. I'm just listening to the critter to see if he has anything to say. It says you're waiting on a ghost. Who he really is is not who you think he is. And yeah, it's sort of like you're wishing what you want is not who he is. So he's not going to come back as, it's like sort of like you can't have him. He's not going to be what you want. He's never going to be what you want, is what it's telling you. He's never going to be that way. You're wishing for like a ghost, like something that doesn't exist. A ghost do exist, but the critter's trying to make a point that it's sort of like, waiting for things to go back to the way they used to be. You know, that whole thing about, can't we just go back to the way we used to be? No, you can't go back to the way you used to be, because it'll never be the way it used to be. That's how it is. Things change. And that Taurus is your challenge in life, is to roll with the punches. Is to say, okay, it's never going to be the way it used to be. No. It's time to move on. But you either, if you can't accept the person for who they really are, and it doesn't work with them being the way they really are, then you have to accept that's how it is now. And that's how it will be until it changes again. And it may actually get worse. So you don't want it to get to that point, that worst point, before you say okay. It's like going into a party. I mean, this is my opinion. As Aquarius, everybody treats going to a party differently. As an Aquarius, I always leave a little bit early. Okay, a little bit. Just when it's starting to die down. It's a feeling like I still feel good, but you know, I don't want to stay to the very end where there's nobody there. That's awkward, really weird. You know, You don't want to stay where everybody's starting to clean up. It's awkward, you know? Do you help them clean up? Do you just kind of sit on the couch and do nothing? It's one of those weird things, you know? You're not, it's sort of like Taurus. I see you sitting on the couch, waiting until everybody else is gone, and then finally leaving. No, you need to get up off the couch just as when, you know, just before the show is over, okay? Just at the very end, you know? Don't sit to watch the credits. There's no point. You've gotten everything you could get. I feel like the message here for you, Taurus, is you've gotten everything you could have gotten out of this relationship, and there is nothing more. And it's time to let go. And that Scorpio that lives inside of you has drained it. That it's still part of the Taurus. They have similar energy as far as being exhaustive, needing to drain and suck everything out. You know, Taurus will penny pinch to the last dime, you know, and Scorpios will hoard until the last dime, you know. So similar, you know, different, but similar. So that's my final message. Long video. These ones are really long, but it's been fun doing this reading. I wish you the best with this. I send you big hugs, big kisses, and have a wonderful holiday. Have a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year if you don't see me before then. And I just wish you all the best. And feel free to email me if you want to do a private reading. Take care.